nice to meet you.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us on the pod. I know we reached out. We had some scheduling issues. Sorry about that. Real life does that thing sometimes, but
no worries. No worries.
Yeah. So we'll just jump right in. Tell us how you got involved in acting originally.
Well, I came out of the womb pretty much wanting to act, but my mom would not allow it. She's like, you're not going to be a child star. You're going to be normal. So instead of acting when I was young, I was a dancer and a performer. And then I went to a performing arts high school. And that's how I got my start acting. And then when I graduated, I started auditioning professionally. And that was like my I didn't go to college. That was like my college experience, just straight into the real world, which I think really helped actually, because no one needs a college degree to have fun and play pretend and say made up words and stuff.
So you never considered anything else? It was always acting or bust?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I never had a plan B. My mom really wanted me to have a plan B, but my dad was very much like, look, if you're going to do this and just go all in. I think you can do it, and don't have a plan B because it'll distract you from plan A. So just go do it for real. Which I think gave me a lot of confidence and encouragement to pursue it hard and pursue well. It helps that I grew up in LA, so I was able to live at home longer than a lot of the transplants that come out here, and I didn't have to pay rent right away. And I could, I had the support of my family close to me and stuff. So yeah, it was gung-ho from the beginning.
Nice. So you joined Chicago Med this season. Tell us what your audition process was like.
Very quick and very unexpected. I got the audition, and we're still doing self-tapes even to this day. So I got the audition to do a tape, and I taped it and sent it off and didn't think too much of it, because before Chicago Med, I had done one other drama, which was my very first job in 2012. So I booked Chicago Med last year. So 10 years after my first job, I had only done comedy. So I did it, and I was like, whatever, send it out into the ether, and who knows. And then a few weeks went by, and my manager was like, hey, you're one of the choices for this show. And they want to do a callback. And I didn't even remember that I did it. I swear, because everything is taped in this one room that I'm in right now. I have no context. I'm like, what was that? I can't even tell you what it was. So then I did a Zoom callback with the director and the showrunners and some of the writers and stuff. And then did each scene twice. And also, when you're doing Zoom, everybody blacks out their camera and their mic. So I have no idea. I can't see anybody's facial expressions. I have no idea what anybody's thinking. So again, I did that and was kind of like, all right, cool, send it off into the ether. And then, I think the next day I heard that I was pinned for it, and they needed network approval. And then I had it by the next day. And then I flew out for my first episode 3 days later, and then did that all season.
Wow. That's fast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very, very fast. And like I said, unexpected.
That's awesome. You were talking about obviously how you've done a lot of comedy up until now. So now that you have a season of Med under your belt, do you prefer comedy still, or do you like drama now that you've done a little bit more of it?
No, I really like both. It just stretches different muscles. And so when you've been doing one thing for so long, it's really nice to do something totally different. And even within drama and within comedy, there's just different genres.
Right.
So I'm doing a medical drama now, but I could do a different type of drama,
right,
in the future or whatever. So it's just nice. Every job stretches me in a different way. And I enjoy all of it, for sure.
That's great.
So some actors we talk to, some of them don't even watch TV. So are you a big TV watcher? Were you familiar with the shows before you joined?
Oh yeah, the Chicagos are pretty legendary. I was a diehard Chicago Fire fan when it first came on because that was the first in the franchise. And I had seen all of them. I hadn't watched the all three shows consistently, but I knew, you know the characters unless there were newer ones that I just hadn't seen yet. But yeah, definitely. You also as an actor in LA, like you know the Chicagos because you've auditioned for them, at least one of them at some point, because they've just been on for so long. And in classes they use them as just material to work on in class and that kind of stuff. So I was definitely familiar with it.
Okay. Yeah, we haven't heard that they've been used in classes and everything. That's interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What do you think of the concept of the shared universe on this level?
It's so fun. It's so fun and it's so genius. And I don't know why it's so fun, but as a viewer, you just, I don't know, you feel like you're kind of like in the know a little bit more, like, oh, right, and you were doing that on that other episode and blah, blah, blah. You just feel more like part of the family, I guess.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love crossovers. They're so much fun. I would love to do one. It's my dream. They haven't done like a big one in a while since like pre-COVID, I think. But that I just think it would be so much fun. And the people that I'm friends with who like are also diehard Chicago fans, they worship the crossovers too. Like that's all they want to see is just make it a 3-hour show every week. Like, let's just see what everybody's doing all the time.
Right.
Accurate. That's how we feel too.
Yeah.
Accurate. I guess I'm curious now, if you could guest star on like Fire PD, who would which character or actor would you most want to work with?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, I worked with Tracy from PD very, very briefly in I think it was episode 8 of Med this last season. And our scene was so small, so we didn't get to act much together, but we got to hang out in between takes and all of that stuff. And she's so cool and fun and would just be a fun person to like get to hang around for an episode and chat. And I love working with strong women as well. So I think she would probably be fun.
Yeah.
Fun with, yeah.
That's great. So when you joined, I mean, what kind of medical training did you get? Was it a whole new language for you?
So because I got cast and then was off to do my first episode like 3 days later, I didn't get any training. So my training was the studying I was doing in my hotel room before, I would go shoot X scene, the next day or whatever. But yeah, just like you have to know what you're talking about. And look, there's also advisors on set. So if I'm confused about something, I always have a professional to tell me, no, it would go like this. Yes, it would go like that, blah, blah, blah. But I need to know the basis of what I'm talking about. So I sound like a doctor, not just like an actor saying words, So yeah, in every episode, I have to study up on whatever we're talking about, which has actually been pretty cool. I've learned a lot. I tend to forget it after it's necessary for the episode to know it, but it's fun while I know it. It's fun while it's in my brain,
Awesome. Now that you have a season under your belt, I'm curious, in what ways are you similar to Nelly and in what ways are you different from her?
I think we're similar in a lot of ways. I think she's extremely tenacious and very intelligent. I think she doubts herself a little bit more than I do, but I love that about her because it gives her such empathy. I mean, look, I have empathy too. I am a human and an actor. But I think that's something that I actually love to see in her is her doubt herself and then, get to be vulnerable with Charles or, with Hannah and have and lean on people and have them, pull out confidence in her and then be able to go do her thing, I think
Yeah.
she's cool. I think she's very cool and very human and very well-rounded.
Absolutely. And we've really seen her evolve over the course of the season. When she joined, she was very much a stick to the books kind of person. And now she's evolved with more empathy and more heart as the season's gone on. So what has that been like to portray that journey?
Really, really cool. I mean, like I said, I appreciated Nellie in the beginning of how strong her conviction was with what she thought was right. I was like, yeah, you go, girl. Like, just because you're young and fresh doesn't mean you don't know what you're doing. But then I also love that she was able to take direction and soften and show vulnerability in order to evolve and in order to take guidance from people who just know more than her. I think the relationship between her and Dr. Charles is just so cool. It's so cool to see Dr. Charles's, just intuition. He's been a doctor for decades, so he has an elevated level of intuition when it comes to his patients. And it's so cool to watch her learn from that. And there was an episode, I don't even remember which one it was at this point, and I'm not sure it has aired, but where Nellie starts borrowing some of Dr. Charles's, tactics and questions, which I just think is so cool. That's so real of, I think, a young doctor wanting to do well in her field, like, oh, let me learn from the people who have been here all this time and how do they do it. And, yes, I have this tool set. I know things by the book, and I don't need to practice that. I need to practice this other side of this softer, empathetic, intuition-led way of being. And yeah, I just think it's just been really cool overall.
That's awesome. The other big part of Nellie's journey this season has been obviously us finding out that she's a DACA recipient. And so I'm curious, did you know when you first got the character description for Nellie that she was a DACA recipient, or is that something you didn't find out until that script came out?
I didn't find that out. Jessie Schramm actually told me in a van ride at 5 a.m. going to set one morning. She's like, hey, I read episode whatever it was, and you're a DACA recipient. I was like, whoa, that's really good to know from now on moving forward. No, and I think because they didn't know how long Nellie was going to stick around. I wasn't booked for the whole season originally. I was booked guaranteed for 3 episodes. And they said it could last all season, but you just don't know. And so I think they had a lot of plans for Nellie should everything work out and should everything jive, and, should I, be fun to work with and not mess up too terribly. And so I only knew what was given to me at the time. And it's just really cool because it keeps evolving, and I keep learning more about her and stuff, which just makes it really fun and interesting and cool to do.
That's great. And have you heard any of the fan reaction to it? Has it been positive?
I don't look at any fan reaction. I've been told by a few other podcast hosts that it's been good, but I don't look at any of those communities or read any comments or anything like that. It's kind of like a strict rule I have with myself.
No, and it's a good rule. Don't get me wrong. It's a good rule. But no,
Yeah.
we can assure you the reception's been very positive. We all love Nellie. So
Yeah.
it's been good.
You were talking a little bit earlier about how obviously Nellie works the closest with Dr. Charles, played by Oliver Platt. And I'm just curious, what's it like working with him?
Such a dream. My God, he is so prolific. So just to watch an actor who's had a career in acting like Dr. Charles has in medicine, it's really, really fascinating and cool, and just the gravitas and command he has of a set. But also there's just something that you see with people who are at a certain level in their career where they don't need to prove anything. There's just such a calm steadiness to them that's so reassuring and lovely to be around. And he has that, and he's just so kind and funny. And he's a jokester. He's really funny. He's always like, everything's light and fun. Nothing is too precious ever, which is the best kind of attitude to have with acting, I think. So it's so great. It's so great. And I started working with him, and then I was a little late to watch The Bear. So I binged it. I think I did episode 1, came home, and then like binged all the episodes with my husband. And then I was like, oh, wait, that's Oliver playing a completely different character. So that was just also really fun too, just to see that. And, you know, I got to go back and like talk to him about it, which was pretty cool too, you know?
Yeah, that's really cool. We always say, because I mean, Oliver is on one of our favorite shows of all time beyond the Chicago's is West Wing. And so we always say that we would love to just sit in a room with Oliver, Annie Patha, and maybe even Steven Weber, and just have them like tell Hollywood stories, and we can just sit back and listen. And so have either of you, have you had that moment with any of them where they tell old stories or give you any career advice?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oliver has, no career advice. I think that's also, that gets personal. And I don't know if people offer up advice without being asked as much anymore, I've noticed at least, which I don't mind. I think that's also very respectful, but yeah, Oliver has, told a story about when he was on, was it West Wing or was it something else? I forget at one point, but he was working with this, and I'm not going to say it because it's not my story to tell, but it was just a very like inside, like behind the curtain inside scoop on what it was like to work with this particular showrunner. And it was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm getting to hear this about X person. It's very wild. And also Steven Weber is awesome, and he's so fun and like light to be around as well. And Epatha's lovely and very cool as well.
That's awesome. Even though we've seen Nelly work with most of the doctors in the ED at this point, who do you wish you could work with more?
I would love to work with Dominic, because I don't like him, and I have literally, this is Dominic and Lilah in real life, have like asked each other maybe 3 times all season, and have just been like, hey, we don't really know each other, but we know each other kind of. So hi. And that's it. We've said hi, I think 3 times. So that would be fun, just so I can like, you know, get to know him and say more than hi. But so I'm gonna say that because I haven't worked with him at all.
Nice choice. So the next time we see you is going to be 8/21.
Yes.
What can you tease about anything that's coming up for Nelly?
Well, I think she really just settles into her place at Med and gets comfy cozy there. And yeah, without ruining anything, I think she just gets very settled and that episode feels very full circle for her.
Okay. So we know you guys have wrapped for the season. We got to try, if we're off base, just tell us you can't tell us. Are there any plans for Nelly in season 9? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. And that's all I can say.
Okay.
I know there is a season 9 for sure. I can tell you guys that, because
we just don't know when at this point, but yes.
Right.
Yeah. We've mentioned it earlier, but obviously aside from the One Chicago shows, we're also big television fans in general. And so we always ask this question, what are you watching right now? What are you enjoying?
Well, obviously the usual stuff, Succession, duh. Although I'm a little behind because I promised my husband, he's been out of town working for 3 weeks, and I promised I would wait for him. Big mistake. So I'm like 3 weeks behind, but that's fine. He's coming home tomorrow and we'll be binging. And
I'm going through that right now with my husband and Ted Lasso. I'm like 7 weeks behind, and it's completely his fault.
Yes, and Ted Lasso as well. I'm behind on.
Is it your husband's fault too?
Yes, because he's gone.
See, Bryna, this happens to other people too.
Clearly.
Yes. And you know what I'm watching, what I started watching from the beginning, because I love comedy, is New Girl. Because when it was on, I only watched the first 2 seasons and then stopped for some reason. But it is so good and such great comedy, and everybody is so incredible in that. And like, duh, that's why it was on for so long. But I had never seen beyond season 2, and I'm in season 5, or 5 or 6 right now. And so that's another thing that I'm watching. That's old school, but so good.
I love it. Well, yeah, Lilah, that's about all we've got. Thank you so much for coming on the
Yes,
pod.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you guys. This was so much fun. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell everybody really fast, where can we find you on socials?
Pretty much Instagram. I don't really use Twitter. So I'm at Lilah Richcreek Estrada on the gram. Come say hi.
Oh yeah, by the way, that wedding photo you posted with Devin, you guys looked so good.
Thank
Yes.
you. You guys know the story about that? Did he tell you guys?
No.
No.
Okay. We share a mutual best friend, and him and I had never met until we booked this job, and we were actual brides people in her wedding. We booked this job, and then she was like, oh yeah, so like 2 of my best friends are on the same show together. They've never met. We met in Chicago and then did all of like the bridesmaid stuff. And so, yeah, so now our real life adventures are now fan fiction for, okay.
I think
That's
he
so
posted that
cool.
picture after the wedding, and or after, not the wedding, after we talked to him, and so it popped up, and we were just like, "Oh my god, they look amazing!"
Yeah, we were like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Fan fiction for Med for our characters is kind of my favorite thing. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but anytime some of us are not on an episode, we make up reasons as to what our characters are doing in the stories. And
No, we love the backstory game. Yeah, we talked to
Yes.
Connor about that. That's a really funny one.
it's really fun. It's my favorite thing. So
Love it. I love it.
Yes.
So, well, Lilah, it was a pleasure. Thank you so
Yes,
much for
thank
coming on the
you.
pod.
of course, thank you guys. I appreciate it. This was so much fun.